So let me ask you this.
It
All
could
the
be
stuff that you
it could be a
do,
cool
man,
process.
all the stuff that you do so much, like filming, directing, writing, and all that stuff. Do you do any other hobbies outside of that to keep you entertained?
Well, yeah, my hobbies. I used to go to the gym a lot until this whole thing
Yeah.
happened. I loved going to the gym in the early mornings because it gets you pumped up, and I feel like when I'm just after having a good session in the gym, I feel like I can just finally sit down and focus on all my ideas and start writing again, because it's just like having to exercise and just opening up the whole thing. Just like sometimes I even get like sometimes when I'm stuck on an idea, I'll crack it when I'm like in the gym. It's just like, there it is,
Yeah.
because I'm focusing on something else. But my biggest hobby is just playing Yu-Gi-Oh with my friends.
Boom. Talk about
Yeah.
it, man. Talk about it. Let's go into it.
Yeah. So Yu-Gi-Oh is probably my first love. It was just outside of films. I've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh since 2002 or something.
When it started.
I've been just as soon as it came to Iceland, like actually my first two decks were in Spanish, funnily enough, because my uncle was in Spain and he bought these two decks for me. It was like really nice of him, and I still have some of these Spanish cards just lying around. I think I have my Spanish Red Eyes Black Dragon here somewhere.
Whoa.
But like I started like reading and understanding English at a fairly young age because of Yu-Gi-Oh, because you had to know what the cards did. And just I find myself doing my best work and my having the most fun and just and everything positive when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh, because I love playing the game. I love meeting new people through the game, and I've made friends through the game. Like one of my best friends from my childhood, who I was in school with, we became really, really good friends when we like knew we both played Yu-Gi-Oh, because now we had this whole thing that was kind of ours. We were the only one in our class. We were the only ones in our class who played Yu-Gi-Oh. So that's what connected us. And I just love how the game tends to bring people together, and it just evolves as it goes. And I love introducing people to the game and sometimes finding new ways to teach them to play. Like some people only want to learn the old formats because the new one is just too much for them. But like I said, I did this play once. I did this play in 2016. I was the title role. I was the main role, and there were these two younger guys. One of them was 15 years old, and the other one is 13. And I noticed one time that they had Yu-Gi-Oh cards with them, and they were just playing like old school Yu-Gi-Oh, no extra deck. It was just like Summon Skull, Tribute Summon.
Holy monkey!
And I just because they had found these old Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I just watched, and I asked one of them, like, can I take the winner? And it was just, I'll use your deck, and then I put my own flair into it. I'm pretty like out there when I play because I drew the card like this, and
and just like in the anime, just like ha.
Yeah, because I used to wear a watch here. I don't have it on me right now, but when I would draw, it would make a clicking sound, like when they draw cards in the anime.
That...
yeah. Just for the added flair. And they were just like, oh, he plays. And so that kind of made me a big deal there, just because these guys like played Yu-Gi-Oh, and suddenly the main actor in this play we were all doing, suddenly I was like a Yu-Gi-Oh geek like them, and then I introduced them to like the more advanced stuff, and now it's 5 years later and we're all close friends, and we usually meet like once a week to play Yu-Gi-Oh together, and it's so much fun. Like everything I do, I just find myself always finding time to do something Yu-Gi-Oh related, like revisiting Yu-Gi-Oh 5Ds, which is my favorite TV series of all time, and like introducing someone to the game, or even when I'm writing, if I'm trying to focus, like if I'm really trying to focus on something, if I'm trying to crack a specific idea, I'll just crack open a box here. I'll take the cards out and I'll just shuffle them, or just play test, just draw five and do stuff like to get my mind off it. Because as soon as I get my mind off it, it'll usually click when I'm not thinking too hard about it. So yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh is actually a pretty big deal in my life, and sometimes I'll just put these little references to Yu-Gi-Oh wherever I'm doing, like I did when I did the play and stuff like that, which is always just funny to me. And to my friends who like saw the play, and I put this little Easter egg, Yu-Gi-Oh Easter egg, into my performance that no one would get. It was only for me, but it was so much fun when a friend of mine who loves Yu-Gi-Oh saw the play and he came up to me afterwards and he was like, "How did you sneak that in there?"
Like, what kind of enchanting you were calling out?
It was in the play. I had to do this like little chant, like magic chant, and the director said, like, just say abracadabra or whatever, just find something. And I was just, no, I got it. And so I said, because in the play they're in this dark cavern and he has to do this like whole spell so that the girl he's guiding through this magic world so she can see better. So I said, Hikari Sasumichi Tonare, which is Japanese for become the path the light shines upon. Because in the end of the play, she becomes like this beacon of light for everyone to save the day. So to me, it just made perfect sense. So I'm just screaming like Hikari Sasumichi Tonare, and everyone's just think I'm saying like gibberish. But like I said, my friend came up to me after the play and he was just like, "How did you manage to sneak that in there?" That's a Yu-Gi-Oh reference.
That's hilarious, man. I'm with you when I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh back in 2002, when the first deck came out with Seto Kaiba and Yugi with the Dark Magician and Blue Eyes. I got myself the Blue Eyes. My brother got himself the Dark Magician because I was more into Dragon S like monster cards. Like, it doesn't have to be dragon, but I just like the fact that it's a dragon. You know, my favorite dragon type of all time is the Red Eyes.
Yeah.
It's all because of its design and features. You know, I don't care whether it was. I don't care that Blue Eyes is better than him. I just care that, holy crap, look at his feature. He looks like legit like a freaking dragon. I love it. And I gave up playing Yu-Gi-Oh like sometime in 05.
Yeah.
And I came back again like 09 or 8 or 9 or 10 or 10 when 5Ds was around. So when Synchro's summoning was around. You remember when it was?
Synchros started in 2008.
There you go. So I started back again, and then I went off to college, and I haven't, and then moved over here. And it was when I moved here that I came back to playing Yu-Gi-Oh back in just recently, like 2019. I went to New York Comic Con, and they were doing a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament there in the Comic Con, and I don't know what happened. A spark hit me, and then it felt nostalgic, but to seeing all those tournaments and saw all these cards, and since then I just came back to play Yu-Gi-Oh again. Now in my spare time, I play either now. Obviously, COVID obviously doesn't let us participate in these locals, but before I joined with Duelist Academy, and shout out to those guys. I learned a whole lot more. I learned a lot to play the game that it is right now with the link mechanics, with the summoning, the synchros, Etsy's, and all that, because I didn't know any of that when I came back. I didn't know what the fuck was Etsy, what the fuck was Pendulum or Link. Thank God I had Duel Links by the time when Duel Links was released. Thank God I was still like, all right, let me go back again, just learn the mechanics. Yeah, I remember this. And then when Etsy, but I was still too behind. I only know Synchro. And when I came in, the format was Colossus format,
Yeah.
Orcus format. Orcus is one of my favorites, Sky Striker. What other format? What other decks were in that format? Like Colossus, Orcus, Sky Striker. There was another
Salamangreats,
Salamangrades. Yes. That whole
which
menace, And I like Salamangrade too.
yeah,
Until they banned Colossus, Harp Horror, you know,
Stalio.
Stalio. That's where they engage.
Yeah, they just killed that format. I find that so funny. It was just like, look at the format that came before. Yeah, it's dead.
Yeah, it's dead, done. Never coming back again. I'm like,
Bury it.
dead. And I'm like, I just got used to these deads. Now I can't play them. Like, what is going on?
Yeah.
And then I turned my deck into Shadow Dinos, which back in the
Yeah.
format it made sense. At that time, it didn't make sense. But believe it or not, Shadow Dinos, I made it to the regionals top 10.
Cool.
I was like, and everybody was playing TK Dinos because Leffy Gosium.
Lethosagem.
Yes, he was out. He was out for limited to one. So everybody's like, oh my God, BFD on Dinos. Yes, let's go, let's go. And then I was not playing that format. I was just playing the Shadow variant because it kind of made sense at the time. If you put it that perspective, like I need monsters to use double evolution pill. What better
Yeah.
what better cards than to put Shadow cards that are non-dinos and a dino in the graveyard, double evolution pill, boom. I got a Winda and a UCT and construct on the field, and what are you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly.
So it was kind of fun, and then that's where I started to develop even more, start buying more archetypes, and start buying more these decks. And then I got heavily got invested and involved more in the game, and then start playing online. I didn't like online dueling books, so I stick with Yu-Gi-Oh Pro or Edo Pro, and now with Yu-Gi-Oh Omega, I'm just excited as well. So now it's part of me. Now it's something that like now it's definitely I want to do this on my fun time.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to these tournaments when COVID is all out and we can go back again to regionals and YCS and stuff like that. Oh, I can't wait, man. The competitive side just kicks in. It's just an adrenaline.
Yeah. I've been in and out of the game like constantly because it was harder at the time for me because a lot of my friends here just like in my younger years they kind of stopped playing. They didn't find it that fun anymore, and so like they kind of grew out of it. And
Yeah.
I didn't understand growing out of it because I always saw it like a hobby and just something to do like in recreation. And so the only time I actually could play it was with my friends on the mainland when they would come here to visit or something. And we didn't have like stuff like Yu-Gi-Oh Pro and anything like that. So I was just sometimes get like mad Yu-Gi-Oh fatigue. Like I just didn't want to play the game anymore. I thought I'd outgrown it and stuff. And then like something anytime I would meet with my two friends on the mainland who still played when they came here or I met them, it was just like as soon as we would start playing and I would just slam a card down to summon it, it was just like it just all came back. It was just like you could almost hear the protagonist music in my head because it's just like yeah, it was just it just all came rushing back, and it was just like, this is why I love the game. It was never the fact that I hated the game, or it was just like I just felt I didn't want to play it anymore because like when you don't play it for a long time with other people, you kind of lose interest in it.
Yeah.
But as soon as you play against someone who, like, I find like my best friend whose name is Maune, whenever we play, we think of each other as like rivals to each other because our decks it's kind of funny how our decks kind of match each other rival wise and how we counteract each other. But we kind of look at ourselves as rivals in that regard. And we always go like full out when we play. And every time, like he sometimes says like, I'm going to quit Yu-Gi-Oh again for a while. And then when we play, it just becomes so outlandish and we have so much fun. And it's just like, see, this is why we love this game. This is why we can't quit.
It's very fun, man, and that's what more or less what has happened to me. Like I kind of outgrew it in the times that I quit, and then somehow Yu-Gi-Oh keeps pulling me back, and I just get into it. And then I
Yeah,
grew it once more and back in college because I was just doing so many things and whatnot. And at that time in college, I was still a closet Yu-Gi-Oh. Like I didn't want anybody to know. But once I moved here to the States and I went full blown on Yu-Gi-Oh, like I'm at that point like I could give three fucks who thinks about me and me playing Yu-Gi-Oh.
yeah,
I love Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm not afraid to show my geekness or my love of it. I mean, shit. If you look at my room, you got Kingdom Hearts right here, you
yeah,
got Gundam right here, and Final Fantasy VII right here. And if you look at to the side, you got a whole lot of Gundam collections and
yeah,
other toys. And my shirt itself, like I'm all full blown. And then at my desk, obviously you can't see much because my desk is right here. But let me show you. Like I got boxes of Dragon Shield sleeves, deck boxes, small little tins to put all my cards that I want to have as a bulk, just in case if I want to sell it or not. And then you got my cards right here.
yeah,
So like, and I have my binders right here, and I got my playmat right here. So it's become something like I'm never giving this up again, man. And I'm super happy that gives me that nostalgic factor again. And maybe it is a nostalgia factor, or maybe it's just the little kid inside me that doesn't want to give up on this and just wants to have fun. And I really, really find it relaxing and enjoyable when I'm playing Yu-Gi-Oh. Even
yeah.
even competitively, I find it very good because I'm doing something that I like. I don't get to do this very often, and when I do it, I'll go full blown out of it.
Yeah, I know. I've never been that much of a closeted Yu-Gi-Oh fan. I'm like the exact opposite of it now because it's probably one of the first thing people get to know about me because I'm so open about it and just like sometimes it just even slips out. Like I was once at my work and I was closing up and I was doing the bookings and stuff like that, and I was just in the computer, and then one of my coworkers, he looked at me and he just noticed I had this blank stare on me, and just I was so serious at the computer monitor, and he was just like the hell are you doing? Just what are you doing? Is the problem with the delivery or package? And I was just like, no, I'm waiting for the ban list to drop. I didn't even think about it. I just said it, and he was just like, "What are you talking about?" And I was just like, "It's Yu-Gi-Oh related." And he was
It's
just like, "Oh, you play?" And he was like, "Yeah, now you know." And like my Twitter says, like writer, actor, sometimes duelist. No, no, I think it says writer, actor, duelist, sometimes thinker. I think that's my tag. And like when I went to a podcast here in Iceland, he talks about films and stuff like that, and he gets a lot of different kinds of people, but it's also like celebrities and sometimes it's just regular Joes, which is really fun. He got me when he knew I was making this film about like this love letter to Unbreakable, and he wanted to get me on the show and talk about Unbreakable and film school and what have you. And in the thumbnail, the thing I showed up in was I had on a Yu-Gi-Oh t-shirt and I had the Millennium Puzzle necklace on me. It was just nothing. It was just, and he didn't ask about it or anything. It was just like, no, I thought it would look cool on a thumbnail that I'm wearing a Yu-Gi-Oh shirt. It's just like I have nothing to hide. And like when I'm going through my wallet to look for like my credit or debit cards or something, it was just like, no, Guy the Fierce Knight. It's just like I keep some treasured Yu-Gi-Oh cards in there, like a secret rare Gaia the Dragon Champion from Legend of the Blue Eyes. That was a gift from one of my friends, and it's just something I cherish, and I keep it in my wallet at all times. And like I said, it's definitely one of the first things people get to know about me now, because I used to be like kind of closeted about it. I would tell people, but it wouldn't be the first thing. It would just like when people were talking about their hobbies and stuff like that, and I was just like, yeah, and also I sometimes play Yu-Gi-Oh with my friends. It would just be like this offhand comment. But now it's just like if I would ever, well, I don't have to now because I have a girlfriend. But if I would have to put up like a dating profile, I would say like this, and then I would also put like, yes, I play Yu-Gi-Oh. What about it?
That's
just like
no. I was just gonna comment about that because that's how I met my girl.
Yeah.
Through a dating site on Match.
Yeah.
I at that time I was playing I was starting to play Yu-Gi-Oh much more seriously, and
Yeah.
it was until we met and then she, she get to see the real me. It was then that I was like little by little just letting it loose, just like, hey, I'm into video games. Hey, I'm into
Yeah.
manga. Hey, I'm into anime. Hey, I'm into Yu-Gi-Oh. Hey, I'm into this and this and that. And I was going little by little because because I guess it's that fear of stigma that when we were young that you'll be judged. It's like, oh my god, you're playing a kids game or something like that. And I don't know, even though I was already an adult, like at that time I could give a fuck, but I was gonna tell her regardless. I was like, this is me. This is me. I'm my 100%. What do you think about it? And well, I mean, we're 2 years around and we're thinking of getting ourselves married. Like,
Yeah.
and she
Cool.
supports me. She supports me when I'm playing Yu-Gi-Oh at a competitive level. She says like, I like that you have such a hobby, that you were passionate about it, that you're involved with it, and that's stuff that you should never get rid of. That's stuff that you should be proud of. And
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I also just found myself like with like regarding with the information people get from me, it's just like when people are getting to know me and they ask me stuff like stuff that should have different answers. It's just like, what's your favorite TV show? And I just say Yu-Gi-Oh 5Ds, and I was just kind of thrown off. It's just like, is that your favorite like anime or? And I just say, no. You asked me what my favorite TV show is. I just told you. And also, I just found myself like in my like I'll be 25 this year, but like reaching my 20s, when I was reaching my 20s, like when I was 19 or 18, I just realized the more open I was about playing Yu-Gi-Oh. Well, not like wearing endless merchandise and just having anime style playmats or stuff like that. Nothing like that, but I found myself the more open I was about talking about it and just letting people know right off the bat, the more open I was about being a Yu-Gi-Oh player and a duelist and that being my main hobby. I just found myself being happier because it wasn't anything I was trying to hide from someone or waiting to tell someone. Just the more open I was about it, the happier I was, and the game just for that matter just makes me like happier because it's something I love and no one can take that away from me.
I agree, man. Amen to that, bro. I love that, man. Besides, hold on. Before I get to that question, sorry. I want to go circle back on your favorite TV show. You say that was Yu-Gi-Oh 5Ds. Now, why
Yeah.
is it 5Ds out of the other series that you've seen so far?
Out of all of the Yu-Gi-Oh series,
Yeah, yeah.
5D is my favorite show of all time, but it's also my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh series. Like but I think it's because the characters are just so unique and completely different from what we had seen before. Like Yusei is such a great Yu-Gi-Oh protagonist because, like, yeah, he's got a good heart and everything, and he's a believer in the power of friendship. But but he's also not afraid of getting his hands dirty. Like in some episodes, he genuinely just kicks ass with his hands and fists. It's great, and it's about. I like that Yu-Gi-Oh 5Ds was not scared of doing actual like social commentary and stuff about class, and like you have these upper class people and then you had the scums in the satellite and like finding that bridge between them and the stigmatization of like Jack Atlas is supposedly the best duelist in the world and he's the champion, but he has a secret. He's born in the slums. And I was just like, this is way too highbrow for a Yu-Gi-Oh series.
No, yeah, I agree. Like that's something that you don't normally will see that on a quote unquote kids TV show, especially when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah, especially when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh. Like I don't think any series after that has actually done anything like this, aside from like Arc 5, but they were just in the synchro season. They were just basically doing 5Ds again. But I just really like the characters. The soundtracks are amazing. The synchro era when synchro masters were the only new extra when they were the only new kind of mechanic. It's probably my favorite format of Yu-Gi-Oh because I kind of felt like it was the last time it was just like at its creative peak. Well, it's gotten a lot of creative, but it was just like it was so fun. There was so much fun going on. So many different versions of decks. Like there weren't that many archetypes, so people had to be like creative with their deck choices. Now it's just like archetype, And well, I just love synchros. Stardust Dragon is my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card of all time. I try I try as hard as I can to only have the one copy. I have the one copy from a tin I bought in 2008, and I've bought these special editions that I've gotten out in recent years, and I've gotten like, here's the copy of every protagonist card, and I get a Stardust Dragon. I'm just like, here to a friend of mine, take this. I don't want it, and he's just like, I already have it. I say like, I don't. I only want to have one copy of Stardust because this one copy means that much to me. And with 5Ds, I just think it's the most emotional regarding stakes and character depth. And well, season 3 is kind of a mess, but I think they get back to their stride at season 4. Like, and also it's just they did some really interesting stuff. Like they tackled cults, and they did like there's this whole little small segment where it turns into a western, which is great. It's the Crash Town arc. I just love the idea of it, and it was just like the character of Callan in the Crash Town arc. He's just like the lone gunman who has no passion for it anymore, and he just wants to die, but he doesn't want to die just because someone kills him. He wants to be satisfied before he die. He wants someone to truly defeat him, but he doesn't like playing anymore because it doesn't excite him anymore, which is like it's such a weird thing to go into. Like again, regarding Yugioh, this is such a dark place to take the story. And also arc 5Ds is the only Yu-Gi-Oh series to kill off a character and have him actually die. So, and which makes it, upon rewatch, it makes it so much sadder because you know he's not actually coming back like they do in every Yu-Gi-Oh show. Like this one dies, but he came back. But no, in 5Ds, there's a character that dies. He doesn't get revived. So it just hits you even harder when you watch the episode again because you know this is the last time I'm going to see this character. And I still remember like when I still get goosebumps during the last duel between Jack and Yusei when Yusei makes his last turn because story-wise it made complete sense, and they even use some of the same frames from the first episode. That's what the director, I think it's called Katsumi Ono or Ono Katsumi, he likes to reuse frames for dramatic purposes, and it's great. He does it in Arc 5 as well. But I still remember when 5Ds was over, and it was in 2011 or 2012, I still remember tuning in on my laptop to try to get it, to see it as early as I could. And I still remember crying when that episode was over. And it's the only time, like, aside from the original Yu-Gi-Oh series when Atem the Pharaoh walked in with the thumb and the music blasting, it's the last time I remember a Yu-Gi-Oh series genuinely making me cry. And I still kind of well up when I rewatch the whole thing. It's just like, I can't believe I'm done with these characters. And I just love these characters really, really much. And it has such an emotional, like, it has such an emotional punch. The sub, though, I much prefer the sub, the Japanese one. It connects with me in kind of a special way because I think those are I just remember the synchros being like the height of my love for the game in my teens because like in 2008, I'm like, 12 years old, and 2011, I'm 15. And it's just like, it feels like such an end of an adolescence for me. You know what I mean? So I kind of always connected with that. And Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds also just taught me a lot about like story structure and everything, and kind of reusing key themes and images to make something bigger out of it. So that's why I still love 5Ds to this day, even though like Series 3 is kind of a mess. Like I said, it had a lot of production issues. They had to change the whole thing, so they just had a lot of fillers. But they kind of get their stride back in the fourth season, and like the fourth season it's so good, man. It's great.
That's cool, man. Like, that's very interesting that when you said that, and out of all the Yu-Gi-Ohs, like nobody has died except for 5Ds. I was like, wow. Like, and as you were saying that, I was thinking about let me see, in the original series, like, no, nobody died actually. Oh, they almost died, but no. This GX, the same thing. They almost died, but they didn't. And then I'm like remembering the others of Setso. I guess Astral, dies at the end, not
Astral and
really.
Kaido and Shark, they all kind of died, but then they
Yeah,
didn't.
but yeah, exactly. Um, I don't know. Like, wow, you got me to thinking. It's like, man, you're right. Maybe Fight This is one of the best. I mean, it introduced the new mechanic overall, the synchro mechanic.
Yeah.
And that had to open a can of worms for the format itself. I mean, everybody was just nobody. The extra zone was used to be called fusion zone.
Yeah.
That was it. And synchros came up, and oh shit, now we got synchros, and then obviously that opened. I think Fight These could arguably be one of the best because it actually introduced the mechanics, a new sorts of mechanics, in which it expanded future mechanics. That's what we got right now. Like you can't have Etsy's or Pendulum or Link if it wasn't for synchro. If it wasn't for the idea, like, all right, how can we make Yu-Gi-Oh still be relevant? We need to create a new mechanic. All right, how can we create a mechanic? Let's go with this synchro. So you got to give credit where credit is due. Yeah.
Yeah, and also with synchros, it kind of changed the game so much. Because I love the change that synchros made because the game before that was it was still kind of caveman. It was just like you use this and tribute summoning, and you always had to keep the best. Like you had to have such powerful monsters in your hands, but with the synchros, it made you appreciate your low level monsters more because now your deck kind of had to harmonize. And I was just like, this is so cool that you have to construct your deck like it's a team now, so you can bust out your best soldiers. And I was just like, now I don't have to tribute summon anymore. Now I can just use my deck to do this team effort to bust out my Stardust Dragons.
Yes.
And I was just like, I love this.
That's actually pretty cool too, because I remember back in the day it was more of a beatdown deck. So like you got everybody has a Mirror Force, everybody has a Jinso, everybody has a Regeki, a Dark Hole. Everybody needs to have the Gemini Elves or the Mechanical Chasers or any other Legends or 1800 attack power. Everybody, so that way they can summon the Summon Skull or the Jinzos and all that stuff. Like it was such a beatdown. Then when the GX came around with the whole contact fusion, like now you don't need to rely on polymerization. Now you can just like have these two together and then fusion summon, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's very cool how Yu-Gi-Oh has actually progressed from what it was to this. If I had to say which is my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh show, it's hard because I got three. I like the original because that's the one that made me fell in love to Yu-Gi-Oh to begin with, and that's what I appreciated more when I play Duel Links. GX, I like it because it's not like the original in which it takes 5 damn episodes to finish one damn duel. Like at GX, every episode is a new duel. It's like, oh, thank God. At least I know it's something. At least I know. At least I know there's not gonna be 5 episodes with this. There's occasional here and there, but those are like the final boss battles. So it's like, okay, understandable. And then Brains. I enjoy Brains a lot due to the fact that from the creators who did this, one of the creators used to be a pro Yu-Gi-Oh player in the competitive in the OCG level. He was pro, and he won champions. I forgot what was his name, but he has won champions, top on regionals and all around. And he was so involved in Yu-Gi-Oh that Konami gave him a job. And one of them was, to be an advisory, a guidance for the Yu-Gi-Oh series from Brains and up, something like that. And I love Brains for the fact that like, okay, I can see now this is much more competitive. You notice some of the duels, like it doesn't start with, I summon this guy and then special summon this guy and then synchro summon or Etsy summon, or no, it doesn't involve that. It involves a lot of mechanics. Like it becomes like, all right, I summon him, and because I summon him, I can special summon this card on the field. And because of him, I can special summon from the deck. And then I link summon. All right, link summon. Because it was link summon, I can banish it. And then by banishing, I can do this. And then by doing this, I can do this. So it became a whole combo oriented series that was like, it kept me on my toes. It's like, okay, I gotta pay attention. Like this is very fast paced. It's very good. So it's very interesting. And Sevens, I haven't watched Sevens. And they said it's actually arguably very good for a new series.
Yeah, I'll check it out when the first season's over or something. I do that with most new. I've started doing that with. I started doing this with Arc 5 and with Brains as well. I kind of just wanted to wait. I did see the premiere episode of Brains, but after that, I just kind of wanted to wait until there were more episodes out because I knew I wanted to binge this
Mhm.
because I love watching the Yu-Gi-Oh anime. So like during Arc 5, I just waited for like the whole season to be out so I could just watch it.
That's actually cool. Like I'm either or. Like either I can wait or I'll watch an episode every week. It
Yeah.
all depends on the mood that I am. But that's how I am right now with some of these shows. Like Black Clover, My Hero, Boruto, and Fire Force, some other anime shows. Like I now watch it every week. I prefer Boruto is the one I watch on sub. The others I watch
Mm.
in dub. I sometimes love dub because I grew up watching anime, watching the dub versions of it because
Yeah.
before then I couldn't watch the subs because I didn't have the internet at that time wasn't fast enough for me to stream it, or there wasn't such a thing as streaming back then. So I can only watch it on certain channels, and those channels I watched, what it was, the Gundam series with Gundam Wing, the Dragon Ball Z's, the Rurouni Kenshin at the time, the Cowboy Bebops, the Outlaw Stars. Like I could continue on. This is like
Yeah.
90s anime, like classic 90s anime. And I remember that I can only see them in English. Like that was the only time
Yeah.
I only watched them. I can never watch them sub. So because of it, I started Naruto in English too.
Yeah.
So like because of it, I have mixed feelings on it. I say like I'll if I start a series in dub, I'll finish it in dub. Now if it's a series that I literally cannot wait, I want to be ahead,
Yeah.
then I'll switch over to the sub and finish it up at the sub.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, funnily enough, the reason I started watching subs was because of 5Ds. It was because the dub took a hiatus, and it was during a cliffhanger. It was during the duel
Oh,
between
really?
yeah, it was during the duel between Crow and Greiger, the one who used air raid, Skyfire,
Yeah.
and it was during a cliffhanger of that duel, and the dub took like a few months of hiatus actually. So the season was actually done in Japanese, and a few more episodes of season 3 had started. So me and my friend who were watching 5Ds religiously, we just watched the rest of the season subbed, and then we just continued watching it subbed. And funnily enough, at some point we got so impatient of waiting for the subtitles actually, because you had to wait for this. You had to wait a week extra for the sub. So by that time, a new episode had come. So sometimes we would just watch a new episode without subtitles, just in Japanese, because we kind of picked up what they were saying.
Yeah.
And if you know the Yu-Gi-Oh card game and you know the card do, you really don't need the subtitles because you know the actions and you know what they're doing. Like, and because of it, we started picking up like bits of Japanese. Like I can count in Japanese now because of Yu-Gi-Oh, and I do that freehand. Like if I'm counting like sleeves, I'll do like ich ni san chico. It's just something I do freehand because I first started noticing it when he was just using like Speed World 2's effect to inflict 800. So he just go like Speed the World 2 no koga hatsuto, and then he would go like Speed counter yomman, blah, blah, blah. He would say this and he would go hapyek point and a damage. And I was just like, okay, damage, hapyek. So he's losing 800. So hapyek means 800. So it was just, you would just pick this up in your head. It was just like, and then it would go like 10 points up. And it was just like, that's 1,000. So, so like you wouldn't, at some point we just stopped needing subtitles for watching 5Ds because we kind of knew what was happening. And it was during the World Grand Prix. So that was just the episodes where they would just duels.
Yeah.
So you knew exactly what was happening if you knew how to play the game.
It's very funny because it's true. Like if you watch it on sub and you watch these scenes, you don't really need to read the subtitles to see what they're actually doing. You can actually pretty much guess what's happening.
Yeah.
It's a very cool trait that you you can learn out of it. You learn new languages by just watching shows, and then you get used to the language. I can tell you that there are times in which some anime episodes I watch in sub, I don't pay attention much of the on the subtitles, because I just pretty much guess I know what's going on. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
I can understand what they're saying, and then the thing that they were saying happened. I was like, I knew it. I understood that. Holy crap!
Yeah, because you weren't even trying. It's just something you picked up, and
Yeah.
that's so much fun. And I forgot what I was gonna say there. But like I said, it's just something about having such a strong passion for a hobby that it makes you like actually learn new things, which is something that it's such an experience going through the motions of that. Like suddenly realizing, like at some point, like we just realized when we were watching an episode of 5Ds, and we did have the subs, but at some point we just stopped reading them, and it was just like, oh yeah, there are subtitles there. And what I love about playing Yu-Gi-Oh with my friends is like I've actually had a full duel, a full match with my friends in Japanese. So sometimes we'll do that. And if some Japanese players were to see us, they'd probably hate us because we're probably doing something wrong, but we're pretty much just playing the game in Japanese. And I just love going like for the full dramatic effect and the physicality.
Yeah.
Like when we're going, like I'll do the card flips. Like, can I get something here if I can reach the card?
Sure.
Like when we're playing and I have this is actually kind of cool. I forgot to show you this when we were doing the Discord. My hero deck has a small Easter egg.
Oh?
Okay, so the sleeves for the main deck are red, as in Slifer Red, Jade and Storm.
Right.
But the extra deck is double sleeved. It's in orange, and it's also in green, like Jaden's eyes in season 4.
Oh.
It's just a small Easter egg for me. But like, let's say if we're playing and I have a full hand here, I'll draw and I'll do like stuff like this. Sometimes I'll draw the first 5 and just go like this.
Oh, dude, that's sick.
Yeah, because I can just pick the top 5 is just like this.
Oh, but just go.
Yeah, like in the show, we just do this. And what I love is doing some like mechanic stuff with, like, if I'm gonna use, let's say I have E-Emergency Call in my hand right now in Polymerization. So let's say I'm gonna activate E-Emergency Call first. I'll do this. And save a polymer here.
Oh.
I'll just do this and I'll just go, okay, I'm going. So I remember I'm going to play this card next.
Oh.
And then I'll just, also this, just flipping. I just love like I said, we go full out. We'll just, we'll be here and then I'll go, and then I'll play my final card, Polymerization. It's just, and then we go just Fusion Summon. Just, we go all out. It's really fun to do.
That's awesome, like man. I love that, man. I actually learned how to do the pick the 5 cards, doing the flip, go and then just put it out there. And I try to do what these pro players try to do, like shuffling the cards in your own hand. I kind of find it very annoying.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Like, doesn't that damage your cards if you do that? Like, tick, 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 tick.
Probably. I always ask my opponent not to do it because it can interrupt my play, because I have really sensitive ears. So let's say you and me are talking right now and someone is tapping their pencil, like just tapping their pencil or pen. Sometimes that's all I'll hear because it's picking up on a new noise. So I'm just like, so if I'm playing with someone and they're constantly shuffling their hand, I'll doing this and I'm trying to think of a combo. And I'm just like, can you not do that? It's like, it sounds like it's cranked up to 11 in my head.
Yeah. Imagine my ears. That I got ears of an audio engineer. I can pick up shit like that at a mile away. And it's so annoying, especially on our regionals. Like, everybody's doing the same thing. It's that, and then I'm like, stop that, please. And I hate the fact that they do that. Like, they look at it and they go to, okay, pass.
Yeah.
But it's like, couldn't you just say pass? You didn't have to do the whole like that. Like, what was the whole? What are you trying to show me? Like, you know how to cartridge? Good, congratulations. Go get a job in the casino.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But what we also love to do when we play is just like, if we're setting a card face down during the end, it's just like this, just on the playmat.
Oh yeah.
But probably one of, like, if I have, I actually drew it, mass change. So if we're doing a play and I'm in the battle phase and I know I can use mass change during the battle phase to end the game, I'll just attack, and then I'll just go like, and then I play this. We'll go full out.
I love it that you go full flown at that, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, my best friend's neighbors probably hate us because we're just like, when my friend and we downloaded the movie Dark Side of Dimension and we watched it in Japanese, and Kaiba's voice actor, his name is Kenjiro Tsuda. He's probably the greatest voice actor in Japan. He can manage to talk so low and then just go all the way out. And so sometimes when he would just yell like Horobi no burst stream, which is burst stream of destruction, my friend had prepared character decks from the movie. So when I had the blue eyes and we were going for the direct attack, I would just go, Horobi no burst stream! and we would do that all in Japanese and just like, counter trappo! And during that session, we took like a 2-hour marathon of character decks and everything. I threw my voice out. I couldn't talk the next day.
That's fun, man. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, because we just like to do the impressions. Like my friend does a really good Bakura voice, and I sometimes channel the Pharaoh or Seto Kaiba. I really like doing Seto Kaiba. He's such a fun character to impersonate. Just like, you don't stand a chance against my blue eyes white dragon.
I was gonna say, like, you have like such sort of the Pharaoh style voice or Juice's style of voice.
Yeah, the thing about like channeling Yusei, I kind of like channeling Greg Abbey because he is such a like soft yet strong voice. Like, it's just when he goes like Stardust Dragon Cosmic Flare, and you just feel it. But the thing about like doing the Pharaoh, you have to get a lot more physical. It's just like summon skull lightning strike.
Yes. That's awesome, bro. I just saw a Tem right there, man.
Yeah. It's like dark magic attack. It's just you have to go at full. You have to get physical. That's the key.
Can you do the Slide for the Sky Dragon?
Let's see. Do I have the card? I think I have
it. Okay.
It's just let's see. I summon Slifer the Sky Dragon.
Oh shit.
That's awesome. Card with me. Yeah, this is what we do. And then I play Obelisk the Tormentor. Just and probably the most fun is doing the chant for
Winged
Ra.
Dragon or Ra.
Yeah. Because for that one, you have to save the scream. It's because he always does it like this calm, like Almighty Protector of the Sun and Sky. It's such a bombastic voice he has. And then he goes like, what's the Almighty Protector of the Sun? Transform thyself from orb of light. He does this whole thing, and then he just go, what was the chat? I usually know it.
I totally forgot what was the
Transform
chat.
thyself from orb of light. Envelop the dead. No, it's just, I beg thee, please grace our humble game, but first I shall call out thy name. And then he just goes, I can't go the Winged Dragon of Ra because it's just a screamer.
Yeah.
But I really like doing the Pharaoh's voice and just going full out. And like Dan Green he has such a majestic voice. Like if God had a voice, that would probably be it. It's just,
I would agree to it. I would say Samuel L. Jackson because, there's a couple times I have to say motherfucker in my life. But Dan Green, yeah, I can see Dan Green to be the voice of God, to be honest. And I love some of his work on other shows because he continues to do cameos for Yu-Gi-Oh! For other roles in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, but he also does other shows that I've noticed like, holy shit, wait a minute. That's Jami from Yu-Gi-Oh! What's he doing here in this show? What the hell?
Like when he voiced Entei in the Pokemon third film.
Yeah.
It's just like, yes, that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yes, man. I met some of these heroes of mine from voice actors, you know, like Johnny Young Bush from the Bleach series and Lelouch, Steam Bloom, Cowboy Bebop, Vincent Valentine. Shoot, like, have you ever thought of doing that, doing voice acting?
I've always wanted to do voice acting, but that's like not something we do here in Iceland. Sadly, it's just like
Right.
There's not a big community for it, and also like it's kind of a nepotism kind of thing. I've noticed with the voice acting, it's just
really?
Yeah, I've noticed it's always the same people, and I get so tired of it because it destroys all creativity for it. And honestly, if I had the money, I would probably do an Icelandic dub for Yu-Gi-Oh, because that's just for the hell of it. But my dream, let's say if I would have Elon Musk's money, what I would do is I would go to Japan and I would want to produce a full reboot of the original Yu-Gi-Oh series, the Duel Monsters, but I would want to tell the same story but with the modern cards. Like, so Yugi would have, and like small Yugi, well, Yugi would have like a Gaia / Black Luster deck, but Atem the Pharaoh, he would have a full-blown Dark Magician deck. Kaiba would have a Blue Eyes deck. And
Mokuba I think will have the Thunder Dragon deck.
Well, something like that, because I would like to see like a full adaptation of the story with no fillers, but with the modern format, because it would open up a lot of creative possibilities, and I just think that would be a lot of fun.
You know what, man? I will get behind that. That will be fun, man. We just need to win the lotto and get Elon Musk's money, and we got this.
Yeah. And then I would also I would produce it originally in Japanese, and then I would like get it to dub and just get Dan Green on the phone. It was just
we need you back, man. This is gonna be a bigger and better type. Let's go.
Yeah, because he was really. I saw the Dark Side of Dimension. I saw it in Japanese first, and I saw the dub. The dub kind of butchered the story of the film, but it was really nice hearing Dan Green's voice again and Eric Stewart as Kaiba, because what I love about them specifically as their characters is that they really love doing their characters. Like if you watch the interviews for it, and it's just like the way Eric Stewart describes Kaiba, it's just like he really gets this character. And I like that it's just not a paycheck. It's just like he loves the character, which is always fun to know.
Yeah, it's always fun when these voice actors actually are very passionate of the characters that they actually portray, and they're into it. Like they're more involved than just acting. Like they get excited about it.
Exactly.
I always love the Maximilian Pegasus voice. It's the fun way how he says, "Oh, Yugi boy."
Yeah, Darren Dunstan. He's a great voice actor. Also, I think he was perfectly cast for Pegasus, as in Pegasus is probably my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh villain because he's just a guy. He's just so sinister, especially in the first season when it's not cartoonishly too big. It's just when he's not like, "Ooh, Kaiba boy," but you know, when he's more sinister, when he's like down to earth, when he's just like, "I'll have your brother's soul," is just right. And when he talks like in this sinister kind of low growl with the Pegasus voice, it's just like, this is chilling. Like in episode 2, it's just, if the timer would have gotten done, I would have lost, but I didn't, did I? And it's just like,
I love it, man. I love it when it goes like that, man. That's the thing that sometimes some of these anime shows, I like when the villain does those little special feels, you know?
Yeah.
You know, when you know that they're toying with somebody, and then all of a sudden, serious mode, 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah, that's why I love Kenjiro Tsuda as Kaiba, because it's in the Dark Side of Dimensions where he manages to go like, he talks all the way down here, and then just he builds and builds and builds, and then he starts screaming. It's just like, and I love it when he suddenly drops, because it's just like in his duel with the Pharaoh in the simulation, they're like screaming at each other like, "New Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon!" And he's just going here, and then he activates a trap, and he just goes counter trapo. And he's just all the way down here. It's just like, oh, now he's being serious. It's such a cool little nuance that he puts in his characters. And then he puts on this little speech like, you've been nothing but a disappointment. And then he just goes, rah! It's all the way up. And it's just, and it's not just going from here and then suddenly starts screaming. He actually builds and builds and builds until he's screaming. Which is just, he's not talking and then he's screaming. He's going further and further until he's in it, which is really cool.
I enjoy it, man. I love that type of stuff, man. I always like to pick up the brains for all these voice actors to see what is it that you were going through. Like how did you manage to do this sort of stuff? Like it's a peak interest. Like I don't know. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll be part of the voice acting industry. Who knows?
Yeah.
Sky's the limit from this point. It is possible now that Zoom is possible.
Yeah, funnily enough, it's just like, even though, let's say if I become a big director and everything, I think I would still like, let's say I become a household name in the director industry, I would still like contact some small little voice acting company. I was just like, hey, are you still doing Yu-Gi-Oh dubs?
Yeah.
Because that would be something I would like to do, because I really like, because as a kid I used to do all these impressions, and it channels into adulthood, because when I'm talking to someone like you, when I was explaining how we duel, it just suddenly it became a Yu-Gi-Oh impersonation thing. Yeah. Because it just happens. Like when I'm talking about certain actors or something, I kind of like on accident just throw myself into an impersonation. Like I was talking about what was it? I think I was talking about Ian McKellen, and it was just like Bilbo Baggins. It just goes into it, because Ian McKellen has a great voice. I am not trying to rob you. It's just, I love doing impersonation. I just love doing voices. It's like me and my friends, we have this thing, like it's not like a LARP or role play or anything. It's just, we sometimes have this idea. Mm-hmm. Like we're currently doing Yu-Gi-Oh, where they hand in character sheets and we have this idea for a story, and then I'll write a few scripts with the story in mind, like episodic scripts, and then we'll meet and we'll do a table read of them, and that's where we really get to have fun, where we really get to do some voice work, and it's always really fun. I like writing knowing that it'll be performed by some people, even though it's not on camera or anything. It's always fun to write for someone else to perform, and it's fun listening to your words coming from someone else.
Yeah, it must be a cool sensation, that you're passionate to this sort of thing, and then when you put it on paper and put it out there and you hear that coming out, you're just like, man, this is what I live for. This is what I do. That's why I enjoy this. That's why I continue to do this. Must be amazing to have such a feeling, man.
Yeah, it's always fun, because I usually write having it in mind that it will be performed. That's why my scripts are usually really dialogue heavy. It's not a lot of descriptions, except when it's really, really needed. Especially also with the table reads, I'll try to do them as detailed as possible before I go into the dialogue, just so they can imagine their surroundings a lot better. The only thing that's the most challenging thing about writing like a Yu-Gi-Oh table read with my friends is writing down the duels. It's exhausting.
Really?
Yeah, just kind of, can I make this like I don't want the duel to be too long. I don't want it to be too short. I want it to be a good back and forth. And what is the character serving in this duel? How is this driving him? And then you sketch down and you're just like, okay, he's using a magical musketeer deck, and this guy is using like light sworns and stuff like that. We just go with older formats just so it makes the writing easier, so I don't have to do a lot of combos. So it's not just like a monologue. Like when I write a long turn and I realize I'm supposed to be reading this character, and I'm just like, Jesus, I go on for 2 pages.
So that's like a new side project that you're currently doing right now.
Yeah, like my friend and I have actually been writing for fun a Yu-Gi-Oh manga. We're just trying to find an artist to draw it for us, because we want to put it on the internet. It's a story that we like, and it's everything about Yu-Gi-Oh that we love, and we have some sequences in mind that I think would be really cool if they were animated. Because okay, so I'll tell you about this one scene. And our main protagonist is kind of a mix between Yusei Fudo and Seto Kaiba. I
Okay.
know it's kind of weird putting them together, but
Okay.
it's just like he has to be passionate and brave enough, but he also has to be kind of a loose cannon. So that's what the Kaiba part. And and they both have this flair about them. And it's just like if we can see both Kaiba and Yusei doing this, this is what makes sense for the character. And we have this sequence where he's dueling against this guy who's playing counter fairies, and it's just a deck closing you down. It's just like a deck saying no to you all the time with their solemns and counter traps. So we had this idea for if he's in a speed duel and the guy flips open like solemn judgment, and then the card flips up like zing, and then he's just going on a tangent like you can't. My deck is the ultimate strategy against your deck. Solemn judgment is the most powerful, and then just a shock. Then an electricity goes through the solemn judgment. He's just like what, and solemn judgment goes face down, and then the card goes face down, and it splits into two cards, and the main character on his dual runner drives over the card, and he smirks, and he slaps down a card, and it's red reboot.
Oh,
just I'm shutting you down.
Damn, that must be fun, man. And this is just for current. You guys are trying to make it very current.
Yeah, it's using the formats we already have, but it's about like how the format has become like more of this. My brother actually had the funniest term for modern Yu-Gi-Oh! It was cancel culture Yu-Gi-Oh!, which I found the funniest thing.
Cool.
Because it's just because it's so much of saying your opponent can't play. It's just you build up such a board that your opponent can't play.
Yeah.
And coming from the perspective of someone who loves a good back and forth, because like I say, the way I do with my friends, it's such a back and forth, and we're screaming and we're flipping our cards. But with this kind of solitaire version of what Yu-Gi-Oh! Has become recently, it's just you do this and this and this and this, and then the opponent just scoops. But we're kind of using that format to try to do something new and exciting with it just for fun. And we've designed our own cards for it, which is kind of fun, just putting some niche stamps on everything. And we don't have a new mechanic, but we have like the main protagonist has this dragon, and the dragon, it has multiple versions. Like he has a synchro form, he has a fusion form, he has an exceed form. And it's kind of cool. It's just like, and it puts the game back to a more simpler state, but to create a more back and forth, which is kind of fun. It's been fun doing like creating some of these sequences. Like when we had the idea for the red reboot sequence, like it was just so cool. Like solemn judgment going down, and then another copy would come, and the main protagonist would drive over it because he's canceling out trap cards. It was just a cool little sequence, and then just activating red reboot from the hand as his life points are going halfway down because of the cost. I was just like, this would be a really cool sequence if we animated it.
That's dope, man. I hope that thing gets actually into fruition, man. I hope that, maybe someday someone will pick it up, man, and I can actually read those, like that would be dope, man. I'm actually very eager to excited for it.
It's just currently in the writing phase. I'm looking all over for like artists who can work like freehand from the internet, and we're like for a decent enough price. So we're not like paying way too much, but we don't want to be paying too little because it's such a the scripts are going to be massive for this.
Yeah, and then having them into mangas, comics that's a while, man. That's gonna be a while.
Yeah, but it's about writing what you love, and I love writing. I love Yu-Gi-Oh! Why not do something just for fun for myself?
I love that, man. I love it. So we're gonna wrap this up, man, because we've been here for hours and it's amazing, man. It's been amazing to talk to you. So before we wrap this up, there's a few questions that I want to ask you, and then we can just end it up with a nice note, okay?
Okay.
So right now, what has been your greatest accomplishment to this date?
My greatest accomplishment is I would say I would say two. And they would both be regarding it was I would say my greatest accomplishment at the top of the list would probably be the short film I made last year because it had been such a passion project and like the first concept art and everything was shot like the year before and then I found a way to make it and it's just something I'll never forget the process. So that's probably my greatest achievement there, actually having to have written and directed it and starred in it. And just, it will, I'll never forget the experience of what it taught me a lot of things. But if we're going for something a little more just low key and personal, it will probably be when I wrote my horror comedy. It was called Moonlight Manor. I'll never forget when I had finished the first draft. It was just like, wow, I actually just wrote a whole like 100-page script. Just and when I looked at it, I was so proud of it. So I would say when I wrote Moonlight Manor, and then it was succeeded by writing and directing The Guardian. Those are my top two.
That's awesome, man. Um, two more. What are you currently doing, and what do you hope to accomplish?
Currently, I'm working here in Westman Islands just as a postal delivery officer, but postal delivery man. And I just finished pitching a horror series. What I'm really hoping is that I get the green light to write the pilot because I'll also have some demands. I'll want to act as one of the characters. I really like that character, and I kind of wrote the three main characters with me, my friend, and another friend in mind. But that's probably harder to get through. But what I really want to do as a filmmaker is I want to be a fresh new creative voice for the Icelandic filmmaking standard. I want to put like a new stamp on things. I want to do something different. I want to be the guy that started this whole new wave thing of doing something new with your own voice and doing more challenging things like with the horror series. If that goes through, I think it will change a lot of things and I I that's just something I'm really excited about because I don't like that here in Iceland we kind of only have a limited things of stories we can tell because of the because of our location and stuff and it kind of limits the creativity. So what I want to do is just be the guy who said no, we're going to do something new.
That's amazing, man. Thank you. So one last question, and we'll end this right with this note. Let's just say that you got a follower, a fan.
Okay.
He's an up and comer. He wants to do the same thing that you're doing right now. He wants to be big. He wants to do exactly what you're doing because that's his passion. That's what he loves to do. He comes up to you. What advice would you give him to do to pursue his dreams, to help in its sorts?
Well, firstly, I would say like the lesson I learned was you kind of have to do the whole film school or like go. I would definitely tell them to go to the school I went because it's cheaper, it's more fun. The community there is amazing. But the one thing I would probably tell someone if I had a huge fan who would ask me for advice about like filmmaking and how he wants to make it, I would definitely tell them just don't give up on your own voice. That's what I would tell them. It's just believe in what you're doing because that's what's been keeping me going for as long as I've been doing this because I know my ideas are pretty out there and they're so different from what they're doing regularly here. So if I actually make it and if I can actually become successful in this area doing my own thing, I would tell them don't give up on your voice. Don't be afraid of doing your thing because someone has to do it, right?
Yeah, that's amazing, man. I love that advice, man, and I hope many people will listen to this and say, like, hey, man, do your thing, man. Just let your voice be heard, man, because that's the only way for you to progress. It's the only way for people to listen to you and see your perspective, how we can achieve, or how you can achieve your goals, you know.
Yeah.
Ali, thank you very much for this podcast, man. I really appreciate very much for you coming into the show and have this wonderful conversation with you, man. I've learned so much about you, and we have so much in things in common, you know, that it's very grateful to have someone like you in the show, man. I hope that many of my followers and listeners can take notes into this show, into these episodes, and like listen to all the stuff that you have gone to just to get to where you are, man. You know, I hope this helps out for someone else that's out there, because that's the whole
Yeah.
point of this show.
Yeah, I'd also just like to say thank you for having me. I'd love to come back. I've been having a blast for the last hours, I'm assuming. It's been really fun to chat with you. And also what I loved about I loved about how we came to meet. It was through Yu-Gi-Oh for
Exactly.
your listeners.
Yeah.
So that's why we love this game and the community. And like I said, I would love to come back. I've been having a lot of fun here, and I really hope people will tune in because we talk about so much.
Yes.
It went to a variety of things, and I also just hope this show grows. I really like what you've been doing with the show. It's pretty great. I love this. This is a fun spin on the whole podcast thing. Just having a lot of different people from the creative fields. It's pretty neat, actually, and also just you having someone from Iceland,
Yeah.
which is something radically different.
Yeah.
But getting all these different perspectives, and yeah, that's probably the most I have to say. But just thank you for having me on the show. I'd love to come back. I'll come back anytime.
Absolutely, man. You're more than welcome to come back in the show, man, for any other topics that we can discuss, man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time here, man. I know it's been, I don't know what time it is over there. Over here is like 2 o'clock. It's about to be 3 p.m. Eastern time.
It's 10 to 8 here.
Oh, okay. So I thank you for everything, man. I appreciate this very much. So we're gonna end this stuff with you guys. Thank you very much for listening. And remember, every week it's a brand new episode with a brand new topic. So be sure to like and subscribe for your weekly episodes at the Lone Wolf Podcast at lonewolfpod.com. That's lonewolfpod.com. You can also check this out at SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, at Wolves and Music. So you guys got something, comment down below. Let me hear your thoughts, your experience. Share with us. If you got a specific topic that you guys want us to discuss about it, or you guys want us to bring about on the next time, let us know on the comments down below. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys at the next one.
Yeah.